ESPN Radio and Sunny 95.3.
In one area of the ocean measuring some 400 square kilometers, we're able to identify 122 potential objects.
All right, Hashimadun Hussein, Malaysia, Ken Jenkins, who is an aviation crisis consultant. Is this debris or did they find it?
Good morning.
What do you think?
I'm optimistic that it's debris from Flight 370. It's the largest amount of debris so far that's been spotted.
However, we have stuff floating out there all the time, right? I mean, take the tsunami from Japan. We have just masses of garbage out there. I don't know if anything could sweep around the Earth to where this is, because this is such a remote area of the world. So I guess the only way we know is to go get it and take a look.
Exactly. And yesterday, of course, the efforts to retrieve those items were hampered due to weather.
Yeah.
Today, the conditions are more favorable. The latest that I've gleaned is that they have seen several of the items. They just now have to retrieve them and then hopefully confirm if it's from the missing aircraft.
What could wreckage reveal, Ken Jenkins?
Well, the wreckage can reveal a number of clues. It can show whether or not there was an onboard fire, if there was possibly an explosive device, and that will start to help piece together what happened to this plane. In absence the debris, then you need to have, and certainly still want these items, the flight deck recorder and the cockpit voice recorder, which will then paint a more complete picture as to what happened to the aircraft.
Isn't it too deep where this is for the ping of the flight data recorder to work?
It's possible. There are parts of the Indian Ocean that are as deep as 4 miles plus. And certainly that's going to make it more challenging. There are other parts that are more shallow and compared to the 4 miles deep. But if you go back to 2009 with Air France Flight 447, they were able to retrieve the cockpit voice recorder and the flight deck recorder, although it took 2 years to locate the aircraft in those boxes. So we may be faced with a similar situation here, and also faced with the fact they may never find them.
Can we get that deep? We have ROVs that can go that deep?
I don't know at this point. It would depend on and if it's any further than the 4 miles, but I don't have the answer to that question.
What about recoveries in oceans generally? Pretty difficult?
They are very challenging certainly because of the weather elements. The recoveries, water recoveries have taken place in the past. Swiss Air 111, for example, TWA 800, Egypt Air, which had departed from New York, and then of course most recently, again 2009, was the Air France event.
Ken, were you surprised the Prime Minister of Malaysia essentially said it's over?
I wasn't. At some point, there was going to have to be a declaration that the plane was assumed lost. What I was surprised about was the new revelation from the UK company that had, through mathematical equations and whatnot, had determined that the plane had taken a southern route. I think that caught most people by surprise.
All right. So are they right? I mean, there's no way, because I don't know if we're ever going to quite understand the intent here. I mean, if you're going to crash a plane, why do you keep flying for so long?
Well, and that's the million-dollar question, because, and I think why everything still is on the table today. The transponder being turned off, ACARS being turned off, could have been done because there was an onboard fire, and the pilots were simply flipping the circuit breakers and whatnot. Or the fire could have disabled those things, and they weren't intentionally turned off. So until we find the debris and can start examining the debris and then the black box recorders, we're just simply not going to know. And that's the frustration for the family.
If we find debris, Ken, can we absolutely determine it was from this airplane?
Oh, certainly. You would be able to determine from the debris if it is from Malaysia 370. Yes,
right.
You would be able to.
Are you getting tired of getting calls all the time right now?
Not at all. It is the mystery being heard around the world.
It really
is. And I find it very fascinating as to what could have happened. At the same time, very daunting emotionally for the families that are having to experience this.
Lord, they just can't. Not to mention, they're not sleeping right now, so that adds to everything. Ken Jenkins, thank you for your time, sir.
You're welcome. Thanks.
Aviation crisis consultant Ken Jenkins.